Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today's video, I wanted to talk about kind of a realization I was having about Hearts of Iron and where its future was going. But if you guys could, I'd appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe. Help the channel grow, really would appreciate it. And let's get into this. So the thought process I was having is that, we have Expansion Pass 1, which was Götterdämmerung in the end of last year, and now the Graveyard of Empires beginning of this year, right? And then we're getting a prototype vehicles pack in quarter 3 of this year. It's just a little bonus, not that big a deal, but I thought I'd mention it. And it's called Expansion Pass 1, which implies that they're obviously planning to do more of these. So we're probably going to get an Expansion Pass 2, which most likely will come out November of this year, the end of this year, with a Japan rework, most likely. Japan rework, probably almost definitely a Siam tree, probably maybe a shared tree with these three where it's kind of like the Baltics, maybe an Indochina as a puppet with a tree, maybe a rework to Manchukuo, or just the shared Chinese tree. Various different things that could happen in this region, but so we'll probably be getting that, and then most likely another country pack like we're getting with Graveyard of Empires. Now the problem I was thinking about is, what's that country pack gonna look like? There's not a lot left that they could do, because most of the stuff we really would talk about and thinking about is this region, which is really tied into the Japan rework DLC, which will be the major one. Which, with Götterdämmerung, we got a Germany rework, a Belgian focus tree that has a shared tree with the Belgian Congo, an Austrian tree, and a rework to the Hungary tree. That's quite a bit. That's 2 new trees with a colonial tree that has half of part of the Belgian tree, but it's still got its own pretty decent tree. I wouldn't say this is the biggest in the world, but it's a tree on its own. And then Hungary, which was a rework, so 2 reworks, kind of like what No Step Back did, where it had Poland rework and Soviet rework. But it got me thinking, what are they gonna do? Mongolia and Tanatuva is not enough for a country pack on its own. Not at all. Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, heck no. I would like a Mongolia tree, I would like a Tibet tree. But maybe if they did all 5 of them together, even then, I don't know if I'd want to pay $15. 10, 15, however much they're going to charge you. Probably 15 for that. I don't know if I'd want to pay that, or if that'd be that worthwhile. Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, no. If they were having plans to do that, they'd do something with this DLC. They probably would have just done, if they had plans for this, they would have done these 3, and maybe Saudi Arabia, and left British Raj alone. Clearly they didn't think about it that way. Liberia could get something, because this area is pretty dead, but again, what else would they do with that? I don't want to pay for a DLC that's going to be all colonial. It'd have to be a billion colonies that were now introduced as country, as colonial governments, and that would completely destroy the French tree at that point. So, there's no way you could do that. And I don't need a Caribbean, Central America, or Grand Colombia country pack. Maybe if they did all of these at once, that could work. I could get on board if they did every single one, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic. Even if they only did where these are kind of like the Baltics, where they're regional, they're very developed together. So there'd be 1, 2, 3 different archetypes, and they'd be kind of like the Baltics, where the Central Americans would all share this, and would have some shared paths, but then some of their own. Kind of like what they did with this, where they gave them, this is all shared between all of them. So they do something like that, where they'd have 3 of those. That is theoretically possible and could work. The problem is, a lot of people were not happy about doing South America instead of doing other stuff. And some of that hatred was because Japan needs the rework, and there's a lot of stuff in this region that needs done first. So that wouldn't be as bad, because this would already have been done if this theoretical thing would come out. But that's a lot. I don't think they're gonna. I just don't think they're gonna do that. like at all. That's the problem. So then it leads into like what's really left to do, because I don't see a clear content pack anymore. Because like now it's just stray nations that, oh, that would be cool to have, like Ireland. That'd be cool to have a focus tree for Ireland. They could do some stuff with like the Celtics, maybe like forming a Celtic empire, getting like Scotland, Ireland, Brest. Like you could do some cool stuff there. Like, yeah, but like, what are you gonna pair Ireland with? The UK doesn't really need a rework. Does it need some stuff? Like, could it use some adjustments? Sure, but a rework? I wouldn't say it needs a rework. And even, like, we've been seeing, like, with Gotterdammerung, they got a new focus here that gives, like, some boost to operatives. They got one here that gives experimental facilities. Like, those got here. The fascist tree got a buff because Mosley can form the European Union, and they expanded the European Union, so it's better. Like, realistically, like, yes, they could overhaul it, because, like, some of the, like, this path's not that great. The communist path sucks. At this point, this is just not cutting it to be differentiated because everything's the same. But, like, and this one's okay, but, like, we don't need a British rework. Like, how much would you want to pay for a British rework with, like, an Irish tree? And then what else is it going to do? Like, Iceland's already done, so, and so is all everything around them. Like, Belgium's done. Like, if it was, like, we're not going to do Ireland, Luxembourg, and Albania. 1, no real connection. 2, I don't want to pay that much money for that kind of stuff. So, like, I think this leads me into the point where next year is is Hearts of Iron 4's 10-year anniversary. It's a pretty decent chance that they might announce Hearts of Iron 5 next year. Especially if they do one more, like they do this country pack, a major DLC for Japan, and then another country pack. Which, again, as we've been going over, I'm struggling to think of what that one would even be. So what would be after that? Because with what they did over this year of adding up to like Awakening the Tiger into the base game, it's everything before like Man the Guns. That makes sense because like with Waking the Tiger, that's the Waking the Tiger introduced Germany's old history tree, which it obviously, as you can see, has been completely overhauled. Not to mention we're definitely gonna get a Japan rework, which is Waking the Tiger gave Japan, I believe, its alt history paths too. So that makes sense, but they didn't go up to Man the Guns, which I think had like some British stuff added to it, some US rework, Mexico and the Netherlands. And the thing is, if you look at like Mexico's got a good tree. Like, even by today's standards, I like Mexico. I think it's good. Like, it's got a lot of stuff to do. Most stuff's pretty powerful. I don't think anything's too bad. And then we go over with the Dutch. Well, right now, currently, it's actually broken because they messed up some coding in Gotterdammerung, which hopefully will be fixed when Graveyard drops. Hopefully they just didn't notice it, and there's been some people kicking up some steam, so hopefully they're fixing it and just waiting for a couple weeks for that to drop to just fix it with that in its new version, just so they don't have to add another version now, then update it again. I think that's probably what they're waiting on, so I'm going to chill on that until that releases with that. But the thing is, like, the Dutch tree is pretty good. And even in addition to that, they just reworked what was the worst path to be now to work with the European Union system they created. So this brings me to the point of, what are they going to do? Like, we're getting to the point where nations are good enough that they don't really need crazy reworks unless they fit. Like, does Czechoslovakia need a rework? Sure, but like, are we going to do Death or Dishonor 2.0 without Hungary? Because, like, Yugoslavia and Romania got some touch-ups with Battle for the Bosphorus. Well, Yugoslavia is not the best tree. It's got some stuff that can work. I have fun with the where you split it apart and put it back together and core some other nations. The communist tree's pretty decent. The historical tree is not so good, but like, it's got enough playthrough. This stuff, it's industry trees and army trees, like, they're all fine. Romania, while this side of the tree is not so good, I don't really use it. The industry tree is fine. The Balkan dominance is fine, and this stuff has some intrigue and can be fun to play with. And its army tree and stuff and all this has been decent. Because one of the things they've been doing is going through and doing war effort patches. Like, this was a focus they added, which gives you like minus 10% experience soldiers lost. That's pretty nice. And then they've like affected some of these focuses. Like, some of these need to be fixed just because they don't fit with the new system. But still, like, they've been touched up to a point where I don't know if they really need it, where I would care. Like, yeah, did Hungary need it? No. Like, Hungary was pretty good on its own, but I liked that they added it with Germany when they were doing that, and Belgium needed a tree, and Austria needed a tree. So, like, all of it together worked out. But now, like, Czechoslovakia is the one that's in the worst situation, just because, like, the communist path works out fine. The fascist path it doesn't work all that well, and, like, the democratic path has nothing. And then, like, strategic decisions is alright. Like, it has some stuff where you can get some war goals. It's alright. But, like, these trees aren't, like, that's worthless, and it's always going to be just because it's, and, like, it's not even good. It's the problem. Like, you don't even get dockyards. That's a problem when you're Czechoslovakia. You don't have dockyards. So no matter how good these are, that don't matter. Like, the tree folk, like, some of these are pretty good for the fighters. That's good. The army one actually isn't that good. It has some good stuff. It's been messed with a bit. I don't need to focus too hard, but, like, it could use a rework, but again, I don't think Romania and Yugoslavia need one as much, so, and definitely not enough to pay like $15 for, unless they're like crazy good. But at that point, like, I don't know, like, then like give one to Albania. Like, it's just, I don't know what they would want to do. Like, I think Hearts of Iron's getting to the point where it might need to go up to 5, just to keep everything going. Because, like, we're getting to the point where everything is done, and we're just going to be retreading old stuff, and no one's going to want to pay for it, especially because we're getting to the point where everything is decent. Like, because they've been doing war effort patches to fix a lot of this stuff. Like, Canada, for example. Canada got a whole new communist tree. It's not the best, and it got its fix in this tree. Like, and they've been buffing some of these, they buffed some of the focuses, shortened some, and all that. Canada, I think, is in a good shape. Is it the best tree on the block anymore? No. Like, does its political branches sometimes suck? Sure. But it's a serviceable tree. Give a little bit more love to, like, South Africa and Australia, and I think it'll be fun. They'll be fun. Like, British Raj was really the only one that was completely hopeless, that had nothing going for it. So, like, if we look into some of the more recent war efforts, Spain got one, and on its phalange path, this focus got changed to where it cores Portugal, and then they added this focus where you can core all of the old, like, Mexican territory, not Mexican, all the old Hispanic territory in the New World, which is like everything, which is it's a fun path, and that really made that path finished. Because here's the thing, this is from La Resistance, and while people don't like how the Spanish Civil War is, which I can understand that's fair, let's not act like the tree's not pretty good. Like, could some stuff here and there be fixed? Sure, but, like, these trees overall aren't bad. Like, some of them aren't as good as others, but, like, the global defense is fun. You can actually, hinder the NK, not hinder, if you do the Stalinist doctrine, you can actually core Portugal if you, like, own or something. Like, you can actually core Portugal this way. And, like, you get your full autonomy back, which is the whole negative of doing this side with Soviet aid. Like, that path's not bad. So, like, well, this one I don't think is as good, and I don't think the democratic one's as good. There's still 2 good paths here, and 3 good paths over, and, like, 2 good paths over here, and the historical one's not horrible. So, like, Spain doesn't need a redo. Even with Portugal. While Portugal could use some war effort additions and fixes onto it, it doesn't need a whole rework, I don't think. So we're getting to the point where there's nations that, like, all they would need is just some war effort, like a war effort patch, or just a little change with the next release. Like, as I brought up earlier, not Portugal, Netherlands' Lead the Minor Democracies path got changed into a EU path with the new EU mechanic. like literally this path went from you'll never play it to it actually is better than the historical, and actually has some. It can actually be pretty strong if you use it right. So like, they can easily do stuff like that and make a nation like. Now I don't think the Dutch need anything like, because historical is historical. Like it is what it is. Like it makes sense why they do it. The monarchist is good. The fascist is good. The now the alt democracy is pretty good. The communist has a bunch of different things, but like, while I don't like all of it, it can work. So like, the Netherlands doesn't need redone. And I think this is just a big thing that's affecting Hearts of Iron, that we're getting to the point where like nations just don't need redone, and no one's going to pay for it, and most regions are flushed out to the point where I think we're done. I think next year might be the end of Hearts of Iron 4, and they'll probably announce Hearts of Iron 5. Like, I would not be surprised if by around this time next year, there's going to be a big video going up, Hearts of Iron 5's on the way. But I think that kind of wraps this up, and I would like to hear your guys' thoughts. If you've seen anything I've missed, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.